Hi, guys. How are you guys doing? Oh, okay. First off, let me address this too. I'm really praying for those that are in Texas because I know you guys are going through it. If you're even on here, hopefully you're able to keep warm. Hopefully you have running water. Hey, Bree. So I wanted to talk about unintentional misogyny. Also, I wanted to address my last live because people were confused about, and honestly, it's my fault if I'm being completely honest. They were confused about me saying healthy misogyny, right? And the reason why I have this way of thinking is because growing up in an all boys home, being outnumbered, okay, there were things that men in my life, they would do things not understanding how harmful it is to me or how it could potentially be harmful. It could be their way of thinking, it could be actions, it could be a number of different things. So I wanted to talk about that today because sometimes misogyny is unintentional. So Bambi from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, she recently spoke out on Instagram, and I'm going to pull up her tweet so we can, well, not her tweet, but her Instagram story so we can talk about it because I wanted to address what I meant by healthy misogyny. And honestly, I could have worded it better. I should have said unintentional misogyny. And no, we are not speaking on patriarchy. We're literally speaking on how men sometimes think, not understanding how harmful it can be. Thank you, Jeff. So I wanted to talk about this because not all men walk around with intentional misogyny. Sometimes they walk around with unintentional misogyny. So this is a prime example with Bambi. So let me pull this up really quick here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Misogyny is basically hatred for women. It's hatred for women. That is basically the definition. Okay. Sexist and sexism, it just means like you're being discriminated against based off of your gender. And sexism, it zeroes in on women, typically. But I've seen it reversed. I've seen it where sexism can be reversed at times too with women. So it just really, really depends. Okay. But no, misogyny is basically hatred towards women. But again, like I was saying earlier, thank you. I would just call you Pixie. Thank you, Pixie. Sometimes when it comes to women, sometimes when it comes to men, they don't understand how harmful it can be. Like I have gotten into some very heated debates with my brothers about how some of the things that they say is actually harmful to me, but they didn't really understand where I was coming from. Because again, they live in their world. They experience the world from being in a man's body, and I experience the world from being in a woman's body. So that disconnect will always be there, but conversations need to be had, just like Bambi bringing this up about how we sometimes condone misogyny in little boys, and it's sometimes very, very subtle, or it's semi-harm or unharmful, but in reality it can grow into a bigger issue later on. Right, that's what I said. Joe Meets World, I literally said that. I said every man has a little bit of misogyny, but you need to figure out if it's toxic or not. That's what I literally said. So let me bring up this tweet first. Like, I keep getting distracted. I'm sorry, not bad. Let me go to my Instagram because I know it's on Instagram. But I wanted to talk about this because I feel like this really involves corrective behavior. And just because you're dating a man, you cannot walk around being naive thinking that men are just going to be perfect and they're just going to know it all. Some of them need to be corrected when it comes to a little bit of the misogyny that they may have. Again, it could be toxic or it could be unintentional. It just really, really depends. So let me pull this up and read it to you guys. Misogyny is not always intentional from men. It just really depends. Hold on. And trust me, I know all about unintentional misogyny, okay? Growing up with boys, gosh. Like, my brothers didn't even understand how sometimes when it came to my menstrual cycle, how they would say things, and it would be very harmful to me because I'm just like, well, this is something I can't change about myself. So I would have to sit them down and explain to them that, like, hey, I'm a woman. You're a man. So sometimes you have to educate men. You have to vocalize. This is where you step into your femininity. You don't address them out of anger. You don't address them out of being combative, argumentative, or anything like that. But you just have to correct them because, we have, as a society, we have condoned a lot of things that were actually very toxic, which I'm going to get into later. But Bambi wrote, stop telling your daughters that little boys ignore them, tease them, hit them, or are rude to them because they like them. And I'm sure she had this conversation with Scrappy. She also goes on to say those little girls become grown women who think that men who do these things, I'm assuming that's what she meant, to them, love them. So again, she said, stop telling your daughters that little boys ignoring them, teasing them, hitting them, or being rude to them because they like them. That's misogyny. And also, those little girls become grown women who think that men who do these things to them love them. It's a toxic generational pattern that we see a lot within the Black community. So I wanted to give you guys an example of an experience that I had with my father not too long ago. So as a kid growing up, I grew up again in a household with all boys, and my dad would just treat me like I was his son, or one of his sons. So when we had this conversation, I had to vocalize in my femininity that, hey, Dad, there are things that I need from you that my brothers don't need. And basically what I was saying, I'm a woman, your sons are men, and I need you in my life differently than they need you. And basically what I was expressing to him was I was telling him that I needed his emotional support because I felt like he wasn't giving me that. So what he was doing was he was neglecting me, not really aware of it, because again, he was in this way of thinking, which is misogynistic, that basically he didn't understand how him neglecting me emotionally was actually harmful to me. It was actually very, very harmful to me because I felt like I was being abandoned. I felt neglected emotionally. So I actually had a conversation with my therapist first before I had a conversation with him, and I was able to address him on his lack of emotional support. See, men are different. They don't really need that type of support. So we women do. We often do need that type of emotional support. And sometimes, men are not really able to give us that if we don't vocalize that. And so again, my dad's way of thinking was he could treat me like his sons, when in reality, that was very harmful to me because I felt neglected. I felt emotionally neglected. So when it comes to this misogynistic, or what's considered to be misogyny, toxic misogyny, and unintentional, I do feel like there is a difference. And like I said, not all misogyny is intentional. Like, a lot of men walk around saying these things, not understanding how harmful it is, because they're not on the receiving end of their perspective. They're not on the receiving end of how they think sometimes. And so they don't understand how it's actually very, very harmful to us as women. No, Bambi is definitely not the first to say this, but now that she has a son, she's raising a son with a man. I'm sure she had to vocalize this to the man that she's with. Some of these men, we're seeing corrective change within our society now, but a lot of these men are grown, and so you may need to sit them down and have a conversation with them about how sometimes how they think, how they say things, how their perspective can come back onto us as women and it be harmful, but it may not always be intentional. So what I'm saying is, if you are a woman and you think you're going to meet a man that's perfect, not all men are not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. Corrective behavior had to be done when it comes to colorism. Like, for example, I used to walk or texturism. I used to walk around saying things like, oh, he's light skinned with good hair. That term, me using that description is actually very harmful. But at the time, I was very ignorant. So I used that description. There's a video on my YouTube channel right now, which I refuse to delete because it just shows my growth. There were things that I would say, descriptions I would use, terms I would use that were actually very harmful. But at the time, I was not aware of this because I was very ignorant to how it was harmful. Even though it came from a place of being unintentional, it came across as harmful to the next person. So to me, good hair just means healthy hair now. I really don't feel like I need to give the description of skin tones for real. So it just really, really depends. Another example would be, I use my dad as an example. I use Bambi as an example. I'm trying to think, what other example could I use? Colorism as an example. Thank you, Shannon. Just got here. I was catching up on your V-Girl chat live on my laptop just now. I had my phone in D&D. Almost missed this live as well. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Shannon, for the $20. But yeah, so when it comes to this misogynistic talk, I just wanted to clear that up, because no, I'm not promoting hatred. Y'all know I don't promote hatred of any kind. Okay. When it inflicts harm on the next person, I don't promote that. I don't promote that at all because it's harmful. I don't promote anything that inflicts harm on the next person. I don't care if it comes down to gender, race, sexuality, gender identification. I don't promote harm towards anyone intentionally. So in that video, I can see how me saying healthy misogyny could have been harmful, but that was never my intent. I was just trying to explain to you that some of these men walk around, well, I won't even say some, a lot of these men walk around with unintentional misogyny, and you may find yourself dating a man like that. Should you ditch him? Should you ghost him? No, you need to sit him down and have a conversation and vocalize how it's actually harmful. Because a lot of men, they're just not aware. They're not aware. They grew up in a society that socially conditioned them to think that it was okay, first off. And then secondly, some of them don't have moms that they're close with, sisters that they're close with, or they may have moms and sisters that aren't even able to really help them identify how some of their perspectives and ways of thinking is actually very harmful. So if you're gonna ghost everyone that's not perfect in your life, I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be hard to find happiness because people are not going to be perfect. You just need to, now this is my thing. When you educate people, that's setting up a boundary. So you're basically saying, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with you thinking like this. There's plenty of women in marriages. There's plenty of women in relationships that have had to sit a man down and use correctiveness in order to really make their relationship work, people are not going to be perfect. The only issue is if you address it and you hold this person accountable, you vocalize, and then they continue to think this way or have this perspective, then at that point, then yes, you can walk away. I don't believe in ghosting, because ghosting, it leaves karmic energy open. And whenever you don't end things properly from a spiritual level, you're going to just deal with the same situation in a new situation with a new person. So I just don't believe in ghosting. I'm not going to sit up here and say I haven't ghosted in my life. I've definitely ghosted in my life, and it has always came back to bite. So I like to at least sit down, have a conversation, be adults about it, be mature about it. And if at that point they're not willing to change, or they don't see my point of view, they don't understand how it's harmful to me, then at that point I have every right to walk away from the situation. You listen. Yes, act of effective communication. You listen, ladies, the number one thing that you can use to your advantage as a woman and use your femininity at best is when you can communicate with anyone, with men, with children, with elderly people. If you know how to communicate, doors just open, opportunities will just come, whether it's domestically, business-wise, spiritually, emotionally. When you're able to open up and communicate to people, and communication is not always talking, sometimes communication is listening first, you will also see how it will improve your life. And this is part of leveling up. You can't just be out here ghosting people unless it's an abusive situationship. That's the only time I actually advise women to ghost, is when it's abuse. Other than that, you need to be a woman about your stuff, and you need to sit a man down and you need to communicate. Now, if he's abusive, I'm not advising that, because he's abusive. So, hey, Yoni, new to the channel. Wait a minute. Yeah, sometimes communication is listening to understand. Communication is not always being the one that's talking. Hey, Yoni, I'm new to the channel. I like it because it gives me a woman's point of view on certain topics. Thank you. So please understand that some of these men, I'm not going to say some, a lot of these men, a lot of them have a little razzle dazzle of misogyny, and it's not always intentional. Sometimes it is unintentional, and it just involves you having a conversation and displaying correctiveness within conversation when it comes to their point of views and their perspectives. Yes, I definitely feel like men need emotional support, but I can't, I'm voicing to my dad what I need. And if my brothers don't speak up, they don't come to him and open up in that way, that's not my responsibility. I can only worry about myself. But I agree with that. Men definitely need emotional support, for sure. Definitely from other men, definitely from their fathers, if they have one available to them. Definitely, for sure. But at that point, I'm focusing on me now. I'm in this energy where everything is about me, because I'm always out here trying to help everybody, trying to please everybody, and I'm just looking out for myself. So when it came to this conversation, I was just strictly vocalizing what I needed as a woman. And because me and my dad are trying to improve our relationship, I, for the first time in my life, called this man up and confronting him on what I needed. And that was me putting myself first. And I've never done that, especially when it comes to our relationship. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yes, please don't listen to narcs. And this is another thing. We all have a little bit of narcissism. We all have a little bit of that. We all have that. It's rooted in ego. A lot of us, the majority of society and people, we don't like to be wrong. I know I don't. That's narcissism. Narcissistic people don't like being wrong. So, we all have a little bit of narcissism. This is something that was taught to me in therapy, but you got to know how to put a lid on it. You got to know how to put a handle on it. And part of that is basically checking yourself and checking your ego. There's some people who are narcissistic because they don't check their ego. So narcissism, a lot of us carry a hint of that as well. Okay, because first of all, we were socially conditioned to not get anything wrong. We were always taught to get things right because that was the right thing to do. So you have to be careful with that. It honestly just involves you correcting yourself, checking yourself, and making sure that you're not reacting from a place of ego. I was raised by a single father. Interesting. And we have great relationships, but I pick up a lot of his habits. Yes. So you have to be careful. Crystal said she stopped talking to her dad on Christmas Day because he called me yelling about me not calling him. It's sad, but it's what's best, I think. I don't know. Like, every relationship is different. One of the hardest relationships to fix are relationships with people who get defensive. Like, you try to address them in a mature manner and they get defensive. So, Crystal, the best advice that I can give you is if you feel like you can communicate without them getting defensive, I would give it a try. But if you feel like you can't communicate with them without getting defensive, then distance is probably the best thing for you. Yoni, why do you think society dislikes women so much? Do I feel like they dislike us necessarily? I don't feel like the world dislikes us. It's just, first of all, there are more women than there are men. But my thing is, I don't feel like people dislike us. I just feel like they don't want to share. Like they just dismiss us. It's like they don't want to share resources. They don't want to share, certain thresholds when it comes to power. They just don't want to share. They dismiss, our feelings at times. They discredit us. They belittle us. I don't feel like they dislike us necessarily. But yes, it's a patriarchal society, so I don't feel like they don't like us though. That's a stretch. That's a stretch. But as for Black women, I feel like they do copy us. They want to be us, and I feel like they get influenced by us easily. I mean, they are always copying every little thing that we do. I just wish we as Black women could collectively agree with the fact that we do have this power over society, and we should really come together and do something with it. But it's just, nowadays, girl code, like I said, is rooted in mean girl spirit, and I just don't agree with that. So now I don't even rep girl code. I just rep sisterhood, women that want to form a bond with me out of love and not out of like cattiness, not out of lifestyles, not off of beauty, not off of femininity. Like, just come together in unity through sisterhood because we're bonding at the core through our wombs, not based off of, our outer appearances or our ideologies, our perspectives, our mentalities. Like, if we could just come together through sisterhood and bond based off of the fact that we do have a womb, we should be able to bond off of that. No matter what your sexuality is, I just feel like we should be able to do that. Men definitely always want to be in charge. Listen, I feel like there's more mean girls than there are mean women, but that's just my opinion. It just depends on what side of town you on. Because there was something on Instagram. Oh, let me pull it up. Let me show y'all exactly what I'm talking about since we on here, and then I'm about to get off because. I mean, do I have a date or do I not have a date? I mean, I do got a little situation. Okay, hold on. Let me. Oh, wait. Let me pull this up. Are you guys able? Oh, you guys are not able to see my screen. Just give me a sec. But this really made me upset because I was just like, really? Did she really just say that? the other? Oh, here it is. And I was just like, why? I was just like, why are we even, like, why are we doing this? But let me share my screen so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Because it really made me upset. Why are we like this? Hold on. Why are we like this? Who has seen this? Who has seen this video before I unmute it? I'm like, this is the last thing we need. First of all, it was B. Simone, and now it's this woman basically clowning Black women. And I'm just like, why are you doing this? Okay. If you could like the video, please help a sister out, please. You don't have to donate, but if you could just like the video, you would be helping me out. Because there is 350 something people in here, and there's only 129 likes. If you really do love me, you'll like the video. Okay. I said, if you really do love me, do you love me? Hold on. Okay, let me unmute this. Let's talk about it.
Stop! Why are you asking me why your hair not growing back? Oh. Okay then. So let me get this straight. Y'all out here creating dots of glue, blow drying that glue to your forehead, melting the lace front to make it look like it's naturally coming out of your head, hot combing it to lay it flat, then removing that lace front with acetone, alcohol, and Vaseline, and still calling it a protective style. Why are you asking me why your hair not growing back? Oh. Okay then. So let me get this straight. Y'all out here creating dots of glue, blow drying that glue to your forehead, melting the lace front to make it look like it's naturally coming out of your head, hot combing it to lay it flat, then removing that lace front with acetone, alcohol, and Vaseline, and still calling it a protective style. Why are you asking me why your hair not growing back? Oh. Okay then.
Why do we do this, y'all? Why do we do this? Why do we do this? Why do we do this to each other? Why? What was the point? Why do we do this to each other? And then I keep telling you guys, you wonder where these men get the influence from. Listen, these men don't know nothing about a lace front. And first of all, who is using Vaseline? Who is using, look, hon, do you see that? Who? No glue. We all not out here gluing down our wigs. So my whole thing is this. I have seen women wear lace fronts. Let me keep it all the way a stack. I have seen women wear lace fronts where it has damaged their hairline. Okay? I have seen it. But that's not the majority. That's not the majority. My hair has grown a lot. Do y'all see these edges though? I mean, my edges is just fine. They are, do y'all see the edges? Okay. Not all of us is walking around that wearing wigs that have unhealthy natural hair. Y'all see how I be walking around? Y'all see me in the gym. Do I wear a wig to the gym? No, I don't. But I just feel like women need to understand that, stop generalizing, first off. Secondly, stop putting women down to uplift yourself. And basically what she was trying to do was, I guess she was trying to uplift women to wear their natural hair. But at the end of the day, not all of us are wearing weave for the satisfaction of, I don't know, like, first of all, I'm not wearing wigs to damage my hair. I'm wearing wigs to protect it. And when it comes down to it, I never risk my natural hair when it comes to any type of hairstyle. It's not even just wigs. I don't risk my edges when it comes to getting my hair braided. I just don't risk my natural hair. I love my natural hair. But she's trying to make it seem like the only time our hair can get damaged is with wigs. I got my hair damaged. It wasn't last year, but it was the year before that when I got those faux locks. really broke off my edges. My edges was messed up. My edges was jacked up, and it did not come from wearing a wig. It came from faux locks. Me pulling them back when they were super tight. I shouldn't have done that, but that was my lesson. But I just feel like if you're natural, you're married. See, nah, we're not gonna do that. She said if you're natural, your man is cheated, especially if you're married. Listen, we're not gonna do that. There's plenty of men to go around. There's plenty of men to go around who will love you for your natural hair, who will love you with a wig on, who will love you looking busted, okay? But I just feel like just do what is best for you. Just do what is best for you, whatever that looks like. For me, wearing wigs is convenient because I'm in the gym every week. And if you know anything about natural hair, it dries out. I'm also in the sauna. I'm in the sauna every week. So my hair gets dried out. So the way that I like to protect my hair is by wearing these Calvin Cambridge braids underneath my wigs. And I moisturize my hair in between, probably after every workout. And it's what's really growing my hair. But all I did was literally prop this wig on my head, and I was able to look presentable. It's all about looking presentable. It's not always about trying to look like something else. But I'm not going to lie. I like to have fun with my wigs. You see this blonde? I'm really liking this blonde. I'm liking this. But some men feel like we do it for self-hatred reasons. I'm not saying there are not women out here who don't get dolled up and do their hair and their weave for that reason. I'm saying we all don't. Yeah, look your best regardless. And sometimes I don't feel like I can always look my best when I'm in the gym when it comes to my hair 3 to 4 times a week. It's just not realistic. It is just not realistic unless I'm in the salon every week. Now, if my man, he want me to be natural, pay for me to go to salon every week. Pay for me to go every week because I will go if you want to pay. But if you're not trying to pay, don't speak on my beauty upkeep because it's a lot of work. And for me to go to the beauty salon, it's a $250 trip every time. Every time. So all the ones that want, listen, you can pay $500, $600 for a wig that could last me a year versus paying $250 every week because I'm in the gym every week. I don't wear my wigs in the gym. I think that listen, this is no shade to anyone else, but I just think it's not sanitary. I don't want to sweat in my wigs and then wear them. They stink. My wigs smell like daisies and roses. Is it really snowing again? This is ridiculous. That's why I don't like wearing my wigs in the gym. I don't like wearing my wigs in the gym. I used to, and it was funky. And it was because I was insecure. And the reason why I was insecure was because I was insecure about how I cut all my hair off and went natural. But now I don't do that anymore. And then the second time I went natural, I didn't even wear wigs like that. I just wore my natural hair. So it was just something I needed to get over with myself. But once I got over it, I'm like, I'm not wearing no wig in the gym. Okay. Yes, listen, men don't even care if you got razor hair bumps on your bikini line, okay? If when sex is involved, they don't care about a lot of things. They thinking with the head in their pants. They're not thinking with the head on their shoulders. They not looking at you like, oh my God, you got a pimple, or oh my God, you got a razor bump, or oh my God, you got discolor. They do not care about that. Okay, they get on this app and they cape. These men will do anything when it comes to sex. When it comes to them being sexually aroused, they don't care. So stop buying into that. Stop listening to them. They just do it to get under your skin so that you will lower your standards so that they can take advantage. That's exactly why they do it. So a lot of the things that we as women care about, men don't care about, especially when it comes down to them being horny. And that is just the reality. Let's see what I said. But that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to address this. Shout out to Bambi for, making that bold, loud statement that needed to be said, even though she's not the first to say it, but it needed to be brought back up. And I like the fact that her and Scrappy are raising a son, and it really sounds like they're raising him to be something, a gentleman. So I really like seeing that. And also, Scrappy is like really turning into the family man. Scrappy is turning into a man. Now, I'm not gonna lie. In the beginning, I was like, ooh. Scrappy was dusty, but it looks like he done graduated. I could be wrong, but based off of what I've seen, I haven't heard anything else other than what I've seen. And I just feel like I like where he's going. Like, he seems like he's growing up. He's maturing. I like how he defended his wife the other day when it came to Love and Hip Hop and Mona Scott, how he was trying to get her, how he basically called them out for him, how Love and Hip Hop producers were trying to get him to have a conversation with Erica, or they kept asking him about Erica, and they weren't really asking him or speaking on his wife. So I just feel like Scrappy has okay, I'm impressed. I am, because I was like, wow, he has really matured, and I really like seeing that. He defended his wife. I really like seeing that. But that's all that I wanted to talk about, you guys. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Please stay tuned. If you are not aware, Kevin Samuels is allegedly, he is supposed to be getting exposed soon. His ex-wife. I did a little digging, and this is allegedly, this could be wrong, but based off of the research that I found, I think his wife's name, or one of his ex-wife. I think one of his ex-wife's name, I think her name is Heather. So please turn on your post notifications. I could be wrong because there's several Kevin Samuels in Oklahoma, but I think his ex-wife's name is Heather, but I'm not really sure. So make sure you guys stay tuned and put your notifications on, because I will be hosting a watch party where we can react live to her interview. Okay, now it's supposed to allegedly drop. It's supposed to drop tomorrow. So it's supposed to go down tomorrow. Who knows? I don't even know what platform it's supposed to be on. Her name is Sherry, but see, he has multiple ex-wives. He has multiple, so I don't know. If it's Sherry, it's Sherry. It's Heather. We'll see tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow we'll find out who she is, what her name is. But yeah, you guys have an amazing night, and make sure you turn on your post notifications if you want to catch the watch party, because I will be hosting it. So you guys have a lovely night.